This is Navigating Life with Good Company.
What's up?
Not a lot, man. Not a lot. Just enjoying the weekend.
I know it's finally here after a long week of BS. I couldn't do this during the week. My head would be all over the place. Like just thinking about it.
Well, remember that was kind of why I said last week I was like my mind wouldn't quite be able to focus on the topics that I wanted to talk about and go in as much depth as I wanted to. So that's kind of why I was like, well, maybe we'll hold off on this one.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we all need a break sometimes and need rest. So
yeah,
I completely understand. But I'm just thinking we say, oh, it's the weekend, right? Get to relax. And
this is the first time I feel like I can say that now, honestly.
really?
I used to be, Fridays and Saturdays for the past, I guess you could say 8 years.
Yeah.
Not too bad. Fridays and Saturdays are good days off to have. But I guess it is different saying the weekend.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah. Well, welcome to adulthood. JK. I mean,
Man.
No.
Yeah, in that case, there's a lot of us that we're just never going to get there.
Bro, I just recently became an adult, if you want to look at it that way. Many jobs I had were working the weekends. Yeah, ridiculous hours, ridiculous days. Don't get to see your family. Don't get to enjoy it, So, I mean, and honestly, 2 days, that's not enough. Personally, I don't think it is.
No, I'm not in disagreement on that.
As much of our soul gets sucked out of our body because of our jobs. 2 days.
No, I'm in agreement. I'm totally in agreement. No complaints.
For sure. So, it's the weekend. What happened since we've been gone? We had a 4th of July. Mm-hmm. I do know that.
Mm-hmm.
How was yours? Did you do anything crazy?
Nah, not really. No, I just,
Are you into
I just kind of
fireworks?
chilled. To be honest with you, obviously, as a kid, I was. You know.
Yeah.
Maybe something happens to you when you get older, and I don't even have kids, but now I'm like, I guess they are a little dangerous. I guess.
Yeah.
I guess I can see it. And obviously, I'm not talking about, the ones that are super expensive that you go, stand outside and you observe, but
right.
more of the ones that, we bought as kids, or maybe not us, but our parents bought for us as kids.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, okay. Maybe they were a little dangerous.
Yeah, that part of my brain hasn't started cooperating yet. So,
So you're all in. Then.
I'm a pyro, bro. I'm a straight up pyromaniac. I enjoy fire. It's crazy. So I mean, I have to watch myself because I enjoy fire so much. You remember when I was
I know where you're going with this.
I almost set that backyard on fire, bro.
I just remember at one point, I'll leave his name out. I just remember he was just throwing random stuff in there, and I'm just like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, bro.
And then all of a sudden, pow! And I'm just like, "Oh my god!"
I mean, we weren't keeping good company during those years. We were not keeping good company in those years. But yeah, and so I'm all in when it comes to fireworks. Spend a little too much money.
Well, that's okay. So tell me about that, because obviously, in my case, I don't have kids, so
yeah,
I am very curious to hear have they gone up a lot in price since?
Bro, yes.
20, I'm going to sound like a dinosaur, since 20 years ago.
I mean, they've probably climbed gradually since we were younger kids, but after COVID, the prices went stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I want to say that the fireworks I got, we could have gotten them all blown off in probably 20, 30 minutes, with time in between.
Oh, I'm ready to hear this price.
don't even want to say it. It's sickening when I think about it afterwards. But I spent $500.
Whoa. You could have been a Sony pony.
Never. I mean, honestly, if somebody put a gun to my head and said, PS5 or fireworks, I'm going fireworks. Give me that instant gratification.
You can either be a brony or die. Sony brony. That was the joke last time. Sony brony.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, and it's funny because this year, you know, it was a little different. We had a lot more people over the house. So there was other, you know, fathers involved in pitching in. So, I mean, the show lasted for quite a while.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
But it's cool when you can only buy just enough, but because you know other people are buying as well. And it's like, it's not just going to be a 20-minute show, right? You're going to get like an hour out of it because other people pitching in, which was completely was awesome. But in the past, you know, it was basically just me, you know? Mm-hmm. So there was a little bit of relief. I know last year I did not spend that much money and I got more fireworks. Mm-hmm. So I think they're just slowly raising the price every year.
Okay.
You know, and for my $500 I spent, I got like a little firework, like with 50 rockets in it.
What would, so I have to ask.
Yeah.
Just however you want to do it by your hands or however you want to gesture it. But if I have $100 bill, what would that get me?
Man, you can get a family pack. What I mean, you know, like, you remember the fireworks that you played with as a kid?
Yeah, yeah.
You can get a pack of that stuff for probably $100, probably $80, you know, $75-$80. I mean, if you walked in a fireworks stand, walked at a fireworks stand with $100, you could get some artilleries. You could probably get, you know, a few artillery shells, but like one of those huge cakes where it's like multiple rockets going off after you light the main fuse.
Yeah, yeah.
You wouldn't even be able to buy one of those. And if you did buy one of those, it might be like 8 shots. And then that's it. You're done. Thanks for your $100. Yeah, seriously. So, yeah, but outside of that, nothing else. Yeah, 4th of July. We missed Father's Day. I think we already did a show in between then and there. Mm-hmm. So, I did want to bring something up. And this is just off the cuff. I didn't tell you about it.
Of course you didn't tell me about it. Just know, guys, this is who he is. He can't escape it.
Can't.
No, I don't. No, you're good, man. But what's your thing?
So, you know, lately, when I drive, I've had a few conversations with my significant other about how I drive. And
I only remember one thing about you driving, but anyways, continue.
What was that one thing? I want to hear it before I
remember.
I would.
Let's just say it was around the time when you got married. Do you remember that at all?
Oh,
you know, you were
having wedding day, or
yeah, well, not wedding day, the day before. So you were running around doing stuff, and I was with you, but
you're gonna have to refresh my memory.
I'll just put it this way: I was scared.
We were in the city, though, weren't we? Or we were in the city, right?
Most of the time, yeah.
Gotcha. It wasn't a motorcycle. It had nothing to do with motorcycle.
No. Nothing about motorcycle. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's an interesting story. Do you remember? Did I tell you the story about the motorcycle?
Was this during that time period when you got married?
Yeah, this was like the day before my wedding.
Was it your cousin that was okay?
Yes.
Yeah, I do remember
Denny,
that. Yeah.
So a buddy of mine that I used to work with at Halliburton, he calls me up and says, "Hey, I need you to pick up my motorcycle. I'm not going to be there. I got to have it by such and such day because we're going to go do this poker run or whatever they call those things." And I was like, cool, yeah, I'll get it for you. I knew where it was. He sent me the address. Well, my cousin was with me. He was part of the wedding. You know, he was up there. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, after I got off the phone with him, I was like, man, I haven't ridden a motorcycle in a long time. Like, I don't know if I'm comfortable doing this. And my cousin was like, I'll get it. I'll do it. So we drive over there. We get there. The guy gives us the keys, gives us some shades and says, here, you know, you're going to need these. Because we didn't have any eye protection, which was cool. Nice of the guy. He didn't have to. But anyways, he did. We take off. Denny gets on the bike, leaves. Goes like southbound up this lane to the light because he was going to make a right. We were going to get on the main road, hit the highway, head to my house. Didn't even make it to the light, lay the bike down. I think he stopped at the light, laid the bike down. And I see this before I get into my vehicle.
Oh, so you haven't even gotten into your vehicle.
I wanted to watch him before I got into my vehicle for a very good reason. So I get in my vehicle, go up there to him, get out of the vehicle. It's a red light. Help him get it off the ground. Bro, you good? You got it, man. Yeah, no, it's just a little heavier than I expected it to be. All right, bro. You good? Are you good? Yeah, man. I got it. Turns the corner. I run back to the truck or to the vehicle. I think it was a car at the time. Run back to the car. Oh, it's my Cadillac. I think that's what I was driving. So go back to the car, hop in it. He had already made a right on red. Right. I go up to the light. Light turns green. Turn the corner. He's at the top of the hill with bike laid down again. I was like, no. I'm gonna like, this dude's gonna kill me, bro. Like, you don't mess with people's motorcycles like that. Luckily, nothing was wrong with the bike. I get up there to it, and he was like, man, I don't think I can do this. I'm like, you're damn right you can't do this, bro. Drive the vehicle. Like, drive the car, follow me, I'll take it. Made it to my house safe. But it was a little sketchy because, like I said, it had been a while since I ridden a motorcycle. So I was, and driving in Oklahoma City traffic on a motorcycle, every single person you see on a motorcycle, they've got big balls. Because that stuff is no joke. Like, it's no joke. So, but still, not scared to ride motorcycles. Like, wouldn't deter me. Mm-hmm. It actually just amped up that feeling. Like, I really want a motorcycle so bad.
Oh, really? That's what it did to you?
For sure. Most people are probably like, no, I will never do that again. Right? But anyways, going back to what I was saying.
Yeah.
I hate drivers in Lawton, Oklahoma.
Oh, Lord.
I can't stand y'all. I realize I can't take myself out of this equation. My wife said I am a very emotional driver.
Oh.
Yeah, I was a little upset when she said that. Like, there's nothing about me emotional. Like, the majority of everything else in my life is logical. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to driving, bro, it does not take anything for me to just lose my ever-loving mind. Scream at total strangers in my car.
Oh, boy.
I love y'all. But God, I was just thinking about it because today I had to go to Lawton. And it's like everybody's in a race. Like, if you're not first, you're last. Like, that's the mentality when we're on the road. If you're not first, you're last. Like, I'm minding my own business, driving down Cash Road, trying to come back home. And this car pulls out. Not only did he pull out right next to me, right? But he had to speed up to get in front of me. And because he was so close, I changed lanes, got over. He got behind a slow truck. So I sped up, got into the turn lane. We ended up on the same path. Dude had to stay, he like just had to stay in front of me, right? And in my head, I had to stay in front of him. So it was one of those things like, slow down, bro. Like, chill out. Like, you were not even headed in the same spot. Like, this isn't a race. But I can kind of like gauge what people are thinking behind the wheel. I guess because I think the same way, right? And it upset me. So I just felt Mario, you're not safe from this either, because I know you.
You have to tell me. Please explain.
I remember a story you telling me of being emotional and like, nope, you're not gonna get it. You're not gonna
hey,
get in my
that
lane.
wasn't me being emotional. The other guy was emotional. You like that?
After the fact.
I know you're thinking about a certain incident, and I'm not going to go into details.
No, we're
but I know exactly you're thinking of that dude running. I know what you're thinking.
At high speeds. Yeah.
And I was just like, I didn't do nothing.
Bye. No, but I mean, we're all that way. I feel like driving is getting a little more reckless. And I don't know if it's because I'm getting older and I pay more attention to things. Mm-hmm. But I feel like it's not even the older people. There's young kids too now that like they just don't have a care for the people around them, you know? And it kind of goes into what I'm going to say next, because when you drive, it's not just about you. Mm-hmm. It's not about the driver. It's not about your passengers. It's about your vehicle, the people that are in your car, and then the car that's 5 cars in front of you, the car that's 5 cars behind you, the car that's right next to you on either side, left or right. You know? I just read a story. You know, I went to school in Wichita Falls, part of the MSU cycling team. This guy that I'm not friends with on Facebook just popped up in my, friends request or like recommendations. So I click on his profile. First story. 2 older cyclists in Wichita Falls area died. Truck hit him from behind. Killed the lady on the scene. Died. The guy died at the hospital, or was pronounced dead at the hospital. Mm-hmm. And it just reminds me of how reckless we can be when we're not paying attention, or when we're singly focused on something. We forget to look around us and be mindful of other people and not just worry about ourselves. Mm-hmm. So that's what I got.
No, I mean, that's like I said, not something I'll go in detail on the pod, but just, little stuff here and there. I've told you about my job.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen tons of stories, whether, some alcohol involved, some not, some just like you said, people not paying attention.
Yeah. Cell phones are dangerous in a vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think that's probably one of the number one causes. I don't know the statistics. We could look it up, find out, but I'm sure it rates right up there with alcohol. Mm-hmm. And the accidents might not be always fatal, but
right. But
how many accidents are happening because people are distracted because of their phones?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
it's crazy. But speaking of electronics and that genre, you had something for us?
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about a little bit about Microsoft and the Activision Blizzard acquisition, because it's not official, but we're pretty much getting to a point where more than likely it's going to happen. And this is how close to it happening it is. So the initial announcement I believe Microsoft made, this was, I think, like January 18th of last year, so 2022. And at first, we have all these regulators that were coming in that were kind of questioning the movement and thinking, well, this is going to be bad for consumers because you have this company that's already huge already, and now they're going to spend $68.7 billion to acquire this other company. Yeah, it's like the biggest acquisition in tech.
How many billion?
68.7.
Golly.
But because it sounds weird to say, like, you know, Microsoft is huge, right?
Is that monopoly?
So that's what you would think, right?
Yeah.
But there's other companies that are huger. But here's the thing. So Microsoft itself is huge, but like as far as what they own in gaming, them completing this acquisition, if they do, this will put them in third place.
You're kidding me. Who's at number one?
In gaming. I can't remember, but I know Tencent is one of them, and I don't know if you'll be like, I don't know who that is, but
I have no idea.
That's a Chinese company. And
Gotcha.
They got like a lot of mobile stuff.
Oh, okay. Who's number two? Do you know?
Maybe it's Sony. I would have to look at that. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, Microsoft is not, like I said, this is after the acquisition that they would be in third place. But like I said, keep in mind, this is just in the gaming part, doesn't mean they have more money. They probably have more money than Sony for sure.
Yeah.
Well more. But as far as in actual gaming, you know, they don't, you know, they've just, I would say since they acquired Bethesda and a couple of small companies here and there.
Yeah.
It's only just in the past couple of years that they're really like trying to make it huge because they're trying to push Game Pass. You know, they want that to be, I mean, they say they don't want it to be the next, Netflix, you know, the gaming version of Netflix. But I mean, that's
what they're doing.
Essentially what it is.
For sure.
You know, just, you know, that oversimplifies it. But I mean, that's really what it is. You're having a service and you're having access to all these games, and then you download them and you play them. Or, you know, you can play a cloud version if you want. But what were we going to say?
Why wouldn't they just say that that's what we're trying to do? That's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
You never have to buy another game. You just subscribe to a service, and you have unlimited amount of games in a library that you can just choose from. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I would buy that.
Right. And I mean, to me, it would be nice. Like, look at all the streaming platforms we have right now, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, to be honest with you, it would be nice if there were less.
Yes.
Instead of, because do I have 4? I can't remember.
You have 4?
I think I have 4.
Yeah.
I might have more than that, to be honest with you. Hold on. No, I have 5.
What are they?
And I told you this before. Okay, so we have Netflix, of course, Hulu, Disney, Crunchyroll, High Dive.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I looked at Crunchyroll. I haven't signed up for it yet, but I did look at it. We talked last time.
You can sign up for that and use the free version. There's going to be commercials, but I mean, you can still use it for free.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if you don't pay.
I probably have about 5 as well.
Mm-hmm.
But you were gonna say?
Oh, but I was gonna say, Crunchyroll and Funimation was for a little while was the competitor. You know, Funimation has a lot of the English dubs for a lot of anime stuff, and they merged with Crunchyroll. So I mean, now that's just one big thing, one big powerhouse.
Yeah.
Speaking, when you were saying a monopoly, I mean, that's definitely, but it's convenient for the consumer, though. You know what I mean?
Sure.
A good, like a significant portion of anime is now on Crunchyroll. You know, whether you want the dub or you want to watch it subtitled.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff is on there. And then, like I said, High Dive is a much smaller company out of Houston, and it's way cheaper. And, well, I guess it's not way cheaper. It's like $2 cheaper, but they still get some exclusives here and there. And I mean, some of those exclusives I've made reviews on my channel. So
nice.
So they have some good stuff. But But anyways, yeah. So I got to make sure I say this correctly. The thing that shifted recently was that I think it's called the and I don't want to say this wrong, so yeah, the Federal Trade Commission took Microsoft to court and tried to kind of throw out this, saying it's not fair to the consumer. You know, it's kind of like a monopoly, and it got thrown out of court.
It did get thrown out.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So
free
now
to do what you want.
Now here's the thing. That's only on the U.S. side of things. And I just put my phone down, and then because I know I don't have this one, like the name of it. You know, it's abbreviated to the CMA, but it's called Competition and Markets Authority, and that's out of the UK. They've pretty much said, no, you're not going to do this. You know, and if you do this here, you know, you can't have any business with us.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Phil Spencer, but it was some other guy. From Microsoft, he pretty much said, well, you know, if you're willing to block us, then I guess, you know, we won't release our products there. And because they're the only ones that kind of, I guess you could say, stood their ground, they're kind of backpedaling. So more than likely what's going to happen is, you know, they've kind of retracted their block and they're trying to renegotiate and figure something out. And, you know, it's just regulators to, you know, quote unquote, make everything fair. So going back to what you were saying, so that it's not a monopoly,
yeah,
and that we don't have just one company and there's no competition whatsoever. That's kind of the, you know, the purpose of having all these regulators. And like I said, so we had the US one, they pretty much got shut down. And then now we have this UK one where they're kind of backpedaling a little bit, but we'll see what happens. But it's looking like, because here's the funny thing, it's looking like it's going to happen, because this is my sign that it's going to happen. Because for the longest time, Jim Ryan, the head person at Sony on the US side, he has caved in. He fought for a year, but he finally caved in, and he went ahead. If Microsoft gets the acquisition, they have a contract now where they will get Call of Duty. They're at least for another 10 years.
Sony will get Call of Duty for another 10 years?
Yeah. In other words, what they're trying to do is say, you at least got to promise us this much that you will continue. Because, you know, I mean, you can think of it if you were Microsoft. If you have Call of Duty, something that's so freaking huge, what would you do? Would you be like, we're going to release this on Game Pass and call it a day? You know what I mean? Yeah. You don't even have to buy it.
Yeah.
Sign up for Game Pass. You can play this day one.
Oh. Yeah, bro.
And then
you're talking about chopping some heads off.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they said, oh, we'll let Sony have it.
Well, at first, you know, Microsoft was trying to, and like I said, I'm saying it this way, like business is business at the end of the day. So, I mean, their intention, at least I would say, is to totally, sure, you know, we're going to sign this contract, but guess what? After 10 years, if we just want Call of Duty to be an exclusive, we might do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We'll let you have that 10-year window.
Right. I would say the same thing with Diablo or Overwatch, you know, sure, we'll let you have it for the next 10 years, but after that, you know, something might just happen or not happen. For reasons.
Need to sign what?
But they did do something a little unexpected, which this kind of stirred things up for a little bit. They also, which Nintendo already agreed to this. They're like, cool. Call of Duty hasn't been on a Nintendo console in a while, and Microsoft made a deal with them that we're going to at least, you know, make Call of Duty games for the next 10 years on a Nintendo console.
Really?
And what's even weirder about it? This is what's even weirder about it. You ready? in that contract, it does list the Nintendo Switch. So think of like how games are running now,
Yeah.
you know, and think of how old the tech is for the Nintendo Switch. And, you know, it's going to be like, okay, I don't know how this potato is going to run Call of Duty, but we got to make this shit work. We got to make this work, guys. I don't care if it's stick people moving at 60 frames per second. You got to make it happen.
Yeah, because does it Call of Duty? When did we find out? When we say last time it was like 120 frames per second?
Well, it's most of the time it's 60. They kind of have like this thing where they always want the game to run.
Yeah, there's a standard.
Yeah, so that's their standard. It's not so much, you know, high fidelity.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I kind of respect that because at least, you know, whatever you're showing people, be consistent. You know what I mean?
Yes. So what does that mean for Nintendo? Like they're gonna have to up their crap. Up their game.
Well, that's what you would think, but but what it really means is that Nintendo is putting their feet on the table and they're like, well, I hope they're going to be working hard to get it to run on our technology. No, but I mean, I know, I'm pretty sure a new Nintendo system is going to come within the next 2 years, if not next year.
Yeah.
So I totally can see it happening. Definitely. I wouldn't be shocked if it comes out next year. But I've been wanting that for a minute now, I think. But you know, Nintendo always has to release multiple versions and just keep it going for a very long time. And it's been time for a while now for, you know, Nintendo to upgrade. Because like I said, the next upgrade it's going to be drastic in comparison to the Switch. But in comparison to everything else that's out right now, it's not going to be a beast or anything. So we've needed this upgrade for a while, but
for Nintendo.
Yeah, for Nintendo. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's the whole thing to me. Like, you know, the reason why I want to talk about it is because it's fascinating from a business aspect. But I will say this, and I mean, you know how I play on everything. So, and like I told you, majority of the multiplayer stuff I play is on Xbox. You know, but I like a lot of Japanese games, so that's why I have the other systems. But I will say that now this has nothing to do with money. What I'm going to say, because I know some people will be like, "Who gives a shit?" But if you're like cultivating this fan base, right, and you want to win over the people, I think it would be better if it was more organic. Like I think when they purchased or acquired Bethesda, I was okay with that. And then with this one, and you know I'm not a Call of Duty person, so
right.
That part of it doesn't interest me.
Gotcha.
And then, you know, I tried WoW, definitely not for me.
Wow.
Definitely not. Yeah, definitely not for me.
But nothing against the people that play WoW.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely not for me either.
Oh, okay, not for you either. Okay.
No, I
Diablo's all right in my book. Diablo's all right.
I've watched a few streamers play Diablo, and I don't get it. So
I hear you though. But I mean, they are.
I heard the game's pretty fun,
right?
Pretty cool. So, but I've heard a lot of people say that WoW's really cool too, and I'm just like,
and I did try that, and like I said, I mean, out of all the MMOs, and I still didn't put what those gamers would consider a lot of time, but the only one that I could say, yeah, I could see myself if I didn't play any single player shit, and all I played, like if I was just a 14-year-old kid and I only had my allowance and I could only afford one thing and I just play this one game, an MMO, it would probably be Final Fantasy 14. Because I did play that for a little while, and I was like, "Yeah, this is pretty cool, and the story's nice." And
yeah,
but
is that the only Final Fantasy that you played?
Oh no, sir, no, sir.
Okay.
I'm an OG.
Yeah, okay. That's
what I'm an OG.
I thought you went way back with that.
Yeah. No, but no, I'm talking about MMOs. Like,
gotcha.
Yeah.
So
as far as
what is an MMO?
Massive multiplayer online RPG. where there's
you're on a team.
Yeah, you're on a
team.
Most of the time you're on a team. Yeah,
Yeah.
a pretty big team at that.
Right.
But I would say, like I said, definitely out of my field of expertise, but I did play Final Fantasy 14 for a little while. In fact, really the only Final Fantasy games I haven't played is probably 12, which I did buy, I think, on the Switch.
Yeah.
12 and 11. And 11 is the first time Final Fantasy went the MMO route.
Gotcha.
But, that was when we were like graduating high school.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like my brain couldn't even process, like, I'm paying for a game, but I have to continue to pay on it. Like my brain could not understand. I just couldn't understand. That doesn't sound like a good deal to me.
When you don't have the money.
Yeah, when you don't have the money, you're like, I don't understand this. But
this is for rich people.
Yes, that is what I thought. That is exactly what I thought. So yeah, but yeah. So I mean, so anyways, I don't have I don't have any part of that part of the conversation where I'm with, wanting this part of the company to succeed because of whatever. I don't care about that part. But I will say that, and I mean, even amongst human beings, like if you want to be in tune to the people and you want to win over the people, you would want to do it in an organic way. And like I said, it's like if you just go, we acquire this person, we acquire that person. Now it's not like, how do I say this? It's not necessarily cheating, because they have the money to do it.
Right.
But, some people will just be like, oh, well, I mean, and I will say this, it's a fair statement, so I'm going to go ahead and say this, but it's like Sony did, build up their companies organically. There's some that they acquired, but I mean, over time, like The Last of Us, Naughty Dog, like those teams that work with Sony, they built them organically. It wasn't just something that was pre-existing and they were kicking ass and then all of a sudden just whoop. Now they
belong to us.
Yeah, exactly. It was something that was worked on for a while and eventually they got better, and then they're known for a certain level of quality. And that's the part where I know some people, and of course I'm talking about like a demographic that's not you, it's not me.
Right.
But there's going to be a certain demographic of people that's going to be like, that's some corporate BS. They just kind of snagged in and bought this company, and now they just own a shit ton of games that I really like, but I don't own an Xbox.
Yeah, true.
So that's the only part of it. Like, I don't
leaves
like.
a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah, a little bit. That's the only part of it. But I mean, other than that, I mean, if you're a huge Call of Duty head and you play on Xbox, I mean, you're like, that's a W for me.
Yeah.
And it is. Or if you like any of the Bethesda games, which a lot of those games appeal to me. So I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
That is a win for me.
Yep.
But if you're on the opposite end, if you're a poor little Sony brony, then you're like, damn, this shit sucks.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can see that perspective. You know what I mean? I can see that, and I would be like, this kind of sucks.
Yeah. Just kind of going back to what you said about, the difference between Sony and Microsoft. It's that is the perfect example of the mindset Eastern to Western business. That's what we do here in America.
Oh,
If we see something we like, we get it.
oh no!
And if I have the money to pay for it, then you have a number. I'll reach that number. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, you're right.
That's what we do. And so
you're right. You're saying it's a very American thing to do.
I don't want to say American. It's just the difference between Eastern cultures and the Western culture. It's just a very American thing to do.
There you go. No, but actually, no. You brought up a valid point.
I mean, if you look at history, that's just how we operate. So,
but aside from that, like I told you, that's my personal take. But as far as like, is that something that makes me angry? Like I said, I see why it can make other people angry.
Yeah.
But it doesn't affect me in that way because,
right.
you know, a lot of those games aren't as appealing to me. Like I just listed, you know, the ones that weren't. So, but like I said, I totally respect and understand, or like I said, I can't sympathize, but I can empathize that for some people that have never owned an Xbox, and maybe and I guess in their case, hopefully they play on PC and they're like, well, I'll just play this on PC then. You know, hopefully they still have that option. So
this is true. And there's nothing wrong with playing games on PC. You know, we were having that conversation a few episodes back, and I forgot to. This was something that I wanted to mention because we were talking, you know, about that. My very first PC game I ever played was Return to Castle Wolfenstein.
Nice, I dig it,
bro.
I dig it.
Yeah, and we were hooked up on a campus server, playing with, you know, multiple people that lived on campus and that were actually part of the IT community. They were like getting their degrees in IT, and they set up a server and we just go through and wreck. And it was like me and my roommate at the time. We were both playing.
No, that's cool.
So
I dig that.
It was pretty fun. So and that was the first time I ever touched a PC and actually played a game on it, and I fell in love after that. So, but you know, it's not always in the cards to continue down that path. And it kind of went back into what you were saying on that episode when you were just talking about if times were different, you know, you might have gravitated towards something else.
Yeah. I was talking about if I would have came up, like, you know, if I was like in high school right now,
yeah,
I probably would have. I 100% probably would have been a PC gamer, at least for a little while.
Yeah,
you know, it definitely would have happened because you can. There's definitely a lot more customization involved, and bottom line is this is the major one. You know, PCs are way more affordable than when we grew up.
Oh yeah,
so
for sure.
Yeah, because I mean, I didn't have. I don't think my family had a computer until I was 17.
Yeah. I mean, I was the first one in my family to have a computer. My mom bought it for me for college. So we did not have a computer in my house.
So I feel you on that. I feel you.
Yeah. So. But yeah.
But so and I'll just close it with this that we'll probably come back to this eventually when it officially closes, but it's looking like I said, it's the fact that Jim Ryan, the guy from Sony, that he went ahead and signed the deal because at first he's like, no way.
Oh, other people? Why did he have to sign it?
Oh, because it's just I would describe this as this was Microsoft's way of saying, no, it's not. This isn't a bad thing. We're all about sharing for everyone. Look, we're gonna do this deal with Sony.
Yeah.
And we're guaranteed that they're gonna get Call of Duty for at least another 10 years. And then they're like, look, it's not on Nintendo right now. Guess what? We're gonna make a Nintendo Switch game. Like I said, it's gonna be the next thing to putting it on a potato, but we're gonna do it. You know? But no, that's just that was the deal that they were writing. Like, hey, you sign this, we're gonna agree that, you know, you're still gonna get Call of Duty for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
And at first the Sony guy was like, nah, we're not signing that. And then eventually
somebody whispered in his ear and said this is gonna be a lot of money.
Yeah. Because if you don't sign it, they're gonna get to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And no loop.
Yeah.
No loop for you.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, that's interesting, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you told me that.
And by the way.
Oh, yeah. You're going for it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember it is a sour. So.
Oh, yeah. No, I like sour stuff.
Okay. All
right. Yeah. You're good.
You'll be fine. It tastes pretty good. Not the best one I've had, but it does taste good.
Oh, okay.
So.
Oh, and just out of curiosity, what is your best one then?
See, I don't know because I didn't buy it. Somebody bought it for me. And these are like...
Okay, I can taste all the things in it.
Oh, yeah. And
okay,
he gravitates towards these. So it's my wife's sister's boyfriend. He got me hooked on.
I could definitely see the appeal.
To the world of sours. So it does have an appeal. It's an acquired taste for some, but... I think I tried to get somebody else that I was hanging out with to try one of these, and they were just like, "No, I'm not a fan at all. That's disgusting." I just like, all right, whatever. But anyways, so huge news in the gaming industry.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yes, it will be. Yeah.
I mean, do you think that it would have went through even if he wouldn't have? If Microsoft wouldn't have put out that little biscuit for Sony, dangle that carrot in front of them.
So another part of it is, I think they made also some other deals with like, look, we're going to offer these deals with getting Game Pass on. I wish I remember what it was called, but it's other cloud-like services that probably nobody has heard of. But they're like, look, see, we're being the good guys here. We're getting more games everywhere. You're gonna play Call of Duty everywhere now.
Everywhere on Mars, we're gonna be playing Call of Duty.
Yeah. So, but to answer your question, I think all those little things, I think they do help.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not just one thing, but probably all those little things combined. I do think they help. Just showing that, okay, well, we're not that bad where we're just trying to snatch it up, put it on Game Pass. You can't play it anywhere else,
Yeah.
They're trying to show that, look, we have plans to get it back on a Nintendo console. We're going to get it. We're going to get it on, now the Sony bronies can play it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Huh.
But
All
yeah.
right.
But yeah, so.
Interesting. We'll see what happens. We'll see
Yes.
how that thing unfolds.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know how to segue that into the next
into your next one. No,
but
just go. You got to go in.
Yeah.
Just be you and go all in.
So, I mean, there's no other way to do it, right?
That's right.
So, next topic up for discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of interesting. I can see you just dancing in your chair. You're ready.
Yeah.
I brought this up to you a couple of weeks ago, but I've thought about it for a while. And I know there's different avenues that we could take this, so I guess we'll venture on all of them if they come up. But is freedom an illusion?
Okay, so please tell me more.
I mean, so I do want to get into it, but first I want to ask you, when you hear that, where does your brain take you? If somebody was to tell you that freedom is just an illusion, what would you say?
I would probably say I don't agree, but
Okay.
But I'm more of a, you got to tell me more of the instructions. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
I need the manual.
Yeah, right. I don't have the manual.
But that's the short answer. If you wanted a short answer, that would be my short answer.
So I think about these things just based off some of the things that I read and the things that I observe, and it was just a question that popped in my head. I was like, why don't we have a conversation about this one? I didn't think you would agree with me, which makes for a better conversation.
You see how this guy operates. But I will say this though. You know what? I do think, perception is reality. So it's just how you view the world,
Exactly. And that's part of. But I did ask a couple of other people, and they agreed. They said freedom is an illusion, right? Mm-hmm. So it made me feel like, all right, I'm not that crazy, right? Maybe there are some other people that kind of agree with what I'm saying. But you know, I this is where it kind of starts for me, right? So America sells this freedom, you know, product. That, I mean, we sell a freedom product, but how free are we really? Because when I look at definitions of the word free and freedom, it's free to do whatever you want. And I'm paraphrasing that. I mean, I could give you the long definition of it.
Yeah.
Right. But in paraphrasing, you're free to do whatever you want without restraint. So where does that lie in these 50 states that I'm free to do whatever I want?
I would ask, what is it that you're unable to do, that you want to do, and you're not allowed to do?
Can I live in this house with electricity that I make on my own? Without paying for property tax, without paying any bills? If I was to live in this home right here, could I go off the grid?
Is that what you desire?
I'm saying if it was something that I desired, could I do it?
Well, I mean, this is, I mean, part like, so for me, like I said, probably where maybe the disagreement is that something you want to do, or is these just, I feel like we're going into that philosophy angle from college that you don't care for much.
No,
so now I'm feeling like maybe you should have went into philosophy.
I know, right?
When you were in school.
All right, so let's not use that as an example. But I mean, all right, hold on. No, I do want to stay on that.
Yeah, but just like I said, if you gave me something where you're like,
this isn't philosophical. This isn't like philosophical. This is like for real. If I said, I don't want to pay PSO anymore for the electricity that I'm getting for this house, I'm going to make my own electricity. Could I do that? Do you know if I could do that?
Oh, I have no idea. But I mean, like that, like, okay, so specifically, we'll just target that question. Like, that is not something I go to bed sleeping at night, you know, just contemplating. Gotcha. Because I can't even.
I'm building on this, but yes, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, like it's not something, it's not, like to me, that's not in reality.
Gotcha.
Like there's things happening across the world, yeah, where people really don't have a choice. True. And to me, that choice is kind of, you know, whimsical and not in reality. It's just like, I can't.
So when you say that there's other countries where they truly don't have a choice, you're right, because it's blatantly in front of us that they don't have a choice, right? But we play this game. We sell this product.
Well, I mean, let's be more specific.
But you really don't.
Well, let's be more specific. There's certain people, a certain demographic that sells that. I don't particularly sell freedom.
But you believe in it. You disagree that freedom is an illusion. So in some ways, you are selling it. You're part of the product.
No, I'm not. I'm not a part of anything. I'm not a part of anything.
So you're saying you are free, ultimate, like 100% free, is what you're saying.
I'm saying that really. I mean, to me, it's kind of it's meaningless jargon. Like, if there's something you want that you're not getting, then I think you should, you know, state your claims. What is it that you want that you're not getting that makes you feel that you're not free?
I mean, you do have a point. But what if that was my desire, was to live off of this land with no restraints whatsoever, right? Which is the true essence of the word. What if that was my desire? Can I do that?
I think there's places where you can, but
Where?
Dude, you're asking the person that doesn't give a flying shit about about this kind of stuff. Like, I don't think about living off the grid, but that's what I mean. Like, if you brought, like, for example, if you brought like a guest in here and they're like, like the example you gave, I literally want to do this thing, but they're telling me no. Like you said, PSO is telling me no, or
right.
whatever. Or I want to live at this particular location and they're telling me no.
Right.
Like if you brought that person here, or even if that person was you, and it doesn't have to be this example, but it could be any example,
Right.
You would have to give that example, and I could be like, I know he wants to do this because he talks to me about this all the time.
Gotcha.
But that example in particular, it's just really, it would be equivalent to me trying to, let me think of an example. Like, you're talking to aliens about someone that does not even think about aliens. You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't really agree with you, because I feel like there are people out there like that probably think that way. Like, I don't want to pay the electric company. Electricity is free, right? Mm-hmm. It's all around us. Like Tesla.
Oh no, I think those people exist. Yeah, no, I'm
made
not.
Electricity, and that was his whole desire, was to make sure this was be able to be given to the masses, right? But then money was involved in the idea of like, we can make money off of this, and now we are where we are, right? I mean, there are people like, so when you say that, I feel like that's your perception of this, right?
Oh,
because
no,
you don't. No, you have no you have no desires in that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that people don't think this, but I'm saying, so if you present a hypothetical and I'm like, I can't. Gotcha. It's not anything tangible for me. That, like you said, that is my worldview, and it's trying to put me in a position where I have to create this weird facade in my head, and I can't grasp it. I already can't grasp it. But that doesn't mean that I don't think people don't think like that.
Right.
And I'm not someone that goes around saying that, you should be grateful. But if you ask me a question like you did, that I'm mentioning stuff going on in other countries, I'm going to give you an answer. But I'm not the kind of person that's going to go around and tell people that you should be grateful, and I'm going to slap their hand. You know what I mean? I'm not that kind of person. But yeah, if you ask me a question like that, then yeah, I think there's a lot of things I'm grateful for. Like I said, the people, our ancestors, the people that came before us, the level of suffering they did. Yeah. I think anyone, like the example, well, just like I said, I'm just using the example you gave rather than come up with something else. But I think someone complaining about that, it looks ridiculous. Okay. In comparison to the people that came before us. Well, let's use those people. And also the people that live in other countries and don't have running water. Right.
I mean, like I said, I wanted to build on this. That was an example, and obviously you feel like it's not a very good example. But let's use slavery. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, let's not beat around the bush. Let's use slavery, right? And let's use the prison system. Okay? Mm-hmm. Like, and me thinking about this, I also thought about those things as well. Because at some level, or for everybody, there is some level of freedom. Right? I can't ask a prisoner. I've never been in prison or in jail, right? And I can't go to a prisoner and say, that freedom is just an illusion. They're not going to understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, they might even get angry at you.
They would probably get angry because, as far as they're concerned, they were locked up in a 6x6 for 20 years, right? And now they get to walk wherever they choose within reason, right? Without anybody telling them that they can't. But then again, that's still like, you're not even free to do that sometimes, right? Because there's rules that we live by in this land, right? You're just not subjugated to that amount of restraint. Now your restraint has widened, right? To where you don't even think about it. Like you don't see the walls that you're in, right? Because that room is so large, right? That room you're in, when you're in prison, they were very visible. They were tangible. You could touch those things.
Yeah.
Right? Take slavery. You were confined to an area, to a land that you worked, right? I can't say, oh, you're free now. But just so you know, it's an illusion. But if you think about it, it is. Because, yeah, you don't have to live on that farm anymore. But now we're going to put other weights on you that you might not see all of the time.
Absolutely.
But they're there.
Absolutely. Back then, I mean,
even now.
You think it's equivalent to what they went through back then?
No, I don't think it's equivalent. I'm just saying that those weights are still there.
I mean, so you're saying it's the same then?
I'm saying that freedom that America is selling.
You said the weights. Same. You said the weights are still there.
I'm not. No, sorry.
So we have
not the weights of freedom, not the weights of slavery. I'm saying the weights of slavery have been removed, right?
Yeah.
But now these weights of freedom that America is selling, they are still there, just like they were back then. And you can't see them, nor can you really feel them, but they're still there.
So I don't think that I would say what, like, we'll go back to that particular moment, right?
Which one?
Slavery.
Okay.
Gone. But the reality is that, there were still a lot of things in place. And a lot of times they're like, well, I'm free, but I pretty much have to stay here. What else am I going to do? No one's going to hire me. I got to take care of my family, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would say that's the same as, like those same weights that happened then are what people have now. That sounds a bit much.
I don't think it is, sir. I think that the picture's just been painted differently to where we don't, like, even you don't see that it's really the same.
Do you think that there's been no progress whatsoever?
No, not at all.
Really?
I would argue with anybody that there's been no progress made.
What would have to happen for you to consider there to be progress made? Like what's something, like just even something small? What's something small that would have to happen? Like, it doesn't matter what it is, just anything small, something that could happen. You'd be like,
I couldn't even answer that question. I mean, it would sound really. I mean, to be honest with you, it would have to go back to repentance. That's what we'd have to get back to be completely honest. And that's my whole kind of like rock I'm standing on with this whole thing, and like my whole mindset of this whole word freedom.
Okay, so
and being free, because
who would you want to repent?
Everybody. I see your brain turning. So what are you thinking?
My brain's always turning, sir.
What are you thinking when I say that? I'm
still kind of vague. You're as vague as a Deftone song.
Get out of here. Get out of here. All right, so I won't be vague. I will try not to be vague anymore. And I'll stay on this conversation of slavery.
Okay.
Right. Or being a slave. Mm-hmm. Right. We'll make it a little lighter and just use the word servant.
Okay.
Just for retrospect.
Yeah.
Do you think that you are a servant at your job?
I guess I wouldn't like to look at it that way, but they do use the phrase public servant. So, I mean, to some degree, I guess that would be true.
Right. Even if somebody wasn't working in your line of work, right? In the public sector, right? They're still a servant. Now they use the word employee. But it's still the same thing. You are still working for someone else to earn a living and to maintain your livelihood. Right? In that sense, you're a servant.
Okay.
Right? The only difference now is you can leave if you want to. If you choose to, you could leave and go find somewhere else to work. Back then, it wasn't that way, right? You were either sold or you stayed there until you died, right? So it's changed. The picture's being painted differently.
Well,
but
but it was also way more severe and very, you know what I mean? It was really shitty times back then.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to say that it's the same. I'm saying that the picture's changed. It's not as drastic as it was, right? It's not. By no means. I've already been yelled at by my mom for like trying to ask questions about this. And by no means am I trying to compare. I'm just saying that it's been shifted to look different, right? So yeah, there's no more beatings. There's no, I mean, here in America, right? That we know of. Right. Other countries, that probably still does happen to this day, right? It's just changed. But we are still slaves to our owners, who are our bosses, who are a part of a corporation, right? If you look at it, I mean, if you truly look at it, that is what is going on, right? But that's not my whole takeaway from this, right? I'm not really trying to just look at a job or living off the grid or looking at slavery or looking at a prisoner. What I was trying to do was ask the question in a way of like, what is reality? And I read, right, what freedom is. I look at the definition, multiple definitions, all these different like people's viewpoints of freedom, right? And in no form or fashion in the United States is that true, because we live by laws, right? There are laws in this land that we have to follow. So in that case, you are taking away from people's freedoms to truly do whatever they want to do, right? So it does not necessarily look like freedom, but maybe liberties that we have, which is completely different, right? So then that's where I started like venturing off in this, like, well, what does the Bible say about freedom? Well, you know, there's passages that say that what the Son has set free is free indeed, you know? But what are we free from? We're not free to do whatever we want to do, right? We're free from sin and death. And so this whole thing of being free to do whatever we want to do is an illusion, because whether it's God you're a servant for or the world you're a servant for, you're a servant in one way, one or the other way, right? And even if you go back in the Bible and you look in Old Testament, it even talks about slavery as obeying your master, because in doing that, you're glorifying God, right? So I look at all these things and it's not confusing to me, but I feel like we're selling a bag of goods that isn't good, right? And why can't we just be honest with, well, you're not free to do whatever you want to do, right? You just have more liberties than you would somewhere else.
Well, okay, so that part of, like, just that last part you said, that's more arguing semantics, you know what I mean? That's just that's just arguing definitions of words and stuff. But I will say, shit, I totally lost my train of thought.
But what do you mean by arguing semantics? Like, I don't understand.
Liberties.
That last part.
Yeah. Liberties. You mean just the definitions of words? Well, it doesn't really mean this because we're not really getting this exactly the way the definition is saying. But so actually, you know what this discussion reminds me of? It reminds me of a certain demographic of people that feel like I don't have freedom of speech because if I say this thing, I'll get in trouble at this place or I'll get in trouble at that place.
Right.
You know, or my job might fire me or Facebook will do whatever, right?
Right.
It kind of sounds like a different version of that, which in that case, you know, I always said, no, you totally can say whatever you want to say. But is there consequences for your actions? Yes, there's consequences for your actions. Like and I know you're not saying this, but let's say, for example, you want to do something that's against the law.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, I'm not free to do this thing that I want to do because it's against the law.
Right.
It's like, actually, I mean, you could do it, but there is going to be consequences for that.
Right.
And
so that's a different type. Okay, because I was thinking about this too. I mean, internally, you're free to do whatever you want. You can think of killing somebody all day long, right? Like that's kind of where you're going with that, with what your statement that you just made. Like I can internalize about doing anything I want to do. But when you start moving into the physical,
you can still do it physically, but like I said, there's going to be repercussions for your actions.
True.
Now, if you don't, like I said, if you don't like that, I think that's kind of separate. But I think you can do whatever you want to do. But like,
don't you think you're lying to people when you say you can do whatever you want to do? Like,
well,
I feel like I'm lying to somebody if I said, "Oh yeah, First Amendment, freedom of speech. You can say whatever you want to say." Like you just said, but there are consequences. Mm-hmm. But then I go to the word and it says, well, you know, you should hold your tongue, right? Not everything you should say, right? There's only certain things you really should say. You should only be edifying people, lifting people up. Like that's what we really should. Yeah, you have free will to blurt out blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. But should you do it? So do we really have the freedom to do that? And you're saying, yes, you do.
I'm saying, yes, you do. But yeah, but I'm saying, yeah, if you, and I don't even want to say, because it varies from person to person. Like you said, the example you gave, someone wanting to live off the grid. But let's take it.
Yeah, that was a horrible example. Let's just shoot that down.
but let's just say there's certain things you want to do. Let's say kind of living off the grid, but let's just say you want to go out in the country and do something, but then there's a stipulation. You're too close to, you can't hunt certain wildlife. You can't do this. You can live over here, but you can't do this. You can't do that. You can't set up this.
Right.
There's certain parts of that where I'm like, okay, you know, I can see where you want to do certain things and maybe there's stipulations in place and you're like, I don't really think that's entirely fair because I'm not affecting anybody.
Yeah.
But then now going back to, like I said, what you mentioned about laws and stuff being in place. I mean, there's things in place that I think if it affects other people and you feel stifled because of that, I mean, like I said, by all means, do the thing that you really want to do, but just understand that there'll be a price for it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's another reason, like, you know, earlier in the conversation, I was kind of like, I'd rather you give me an example of something, you know, like right now, like no matter how big or small, what it is you feel like, I can't do this one thing that I want to do. Whatever it is, why do I have to have a fishing license or something?
Yeah.
I think that's BS.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But if you had something like that, I think it would be harder. Not harder, I meant to say. It'll be easier for me to say, oh, okay, I see what you're saying there.
Yeah.
I see why you...
I mean, that's a good example.
And I'm a great... I love fishing. I spend my entire life fishing.
Right.
But I have to pay this thing, or let's just say... because I really don't know any of this stuff. So, like, let's just say you live somewhere in a small town and whatever, the fishing license is pretty steep.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Then I'd say, yeah, you have something to... You have a pretty good argument there.
Right.
That's not fair. And especially if that's one of the things you do. I only do 3 things in my life,
Yeah.
And that's one of them. And me paying this ridiculous price is crazy to me,
I mean, that's a good example. I never thought about that, but it's
if you're like, I whatever I catch, that's what I eat. So it's not, this is keeping me alive. It's not like me being angry that, a video game costs $100.
right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
This is something that feeds me.
Right. Yeah.
So I'd say, okay, you got an argument.
I mean, that is a good argument, but then you could, yeah, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a fisher, so I didn't think about it.
I would actually...
I'm looking at a bigger picture than just a fishing license. But I mean, there's a lot of those little things like you bringing up that like
That's what I mean.
It all plays into. I didn't think of that.
Yeah,
but
that's what I mean. Like if there was some example you could give that, like I said, personally affects you, that you feel like this is against me.
Yeah,
and I think it's bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, you know me, I'm pretty even go with the flow. So I see these things, but I tell my wife all the time, like when she's complaining about work or something, I'm like, this is what you should do. I'm all about giving people advice, but if it was me in the situation, I wouldn't say a damn thing.
This is what you should do.
And my advice is always good. Stand up for yourself.
Well,
but
you got a point. You do got to stand up for yourself.
Yeah, but I'm very quiet when it comes to certain things. When it deals with, my personal situations. So
yeah.
But my advice, man, it's fire.
No, I feel you. I don't even doubt that.
But yeah. So let me ask. I'm going to use another example. Property tax. I buy this house, pay out outright cash. I don't get to just live here and pay my bills. I have to pay the state every year property tax.
Mm-hmm.
How's that being free? Like, where's the freedom in that? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a good example.
It is actually. I will say that is a good example because I've had that conversation with a couple of different people. I will say this though. So this is my devil's advocate part of that. So it kind of reminds me of, when you turn 18.
Yeah.
You get your first couple of, well, I don't even say 18. It could happen, for some of us it happened when we were 16. But you get your first couple of checks and then you're like, what? All this got taken out, all this taxes. This is crazy, man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And there's some people that are late bloomers, and maybe, I don't know, let's just say, in my case, that was like, I guess 17. Yeah, I guess 17. Yeah. But anyways, but there's some people like, maybe they were like 22. What? These taxes? Oh man, they took so much out. And I did all this overtime. This is crazy, man.
Yeah.
There's parts of that type of like mindset to me where it's like, I've already accepted that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, that's not what I think about. It doesn't keep me up at night.
Gotcha.
Because there's nothing I can do to change that.
Yeah. It doesn't make you angry at the system, though. Doesn't make you question, like, why?
Those type of things, no, they don't anger me.
Oh.
No, not at all. I got too many other things to be angry about. Because so I mean, at 17, I just said, kind of sucks. But I mean, there's people I know that started, like I said, they just started working at 22.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? This is crazy. And I'm just like,
yeah, welcome to the club.
Exactly. That's more or less how I feel.
Yeah.
But sure, I guess you could say maybe at the beginning I reacted the same way.
Man, dude, I still get pissed when I see how much tax.
Really? I don't even. So you're one of those that you're still looking at like what you really you're comparing like what am I actually bringing home, and then let me compare it to what supposedly I made, and then you're like, what?
Yeah. Who does it? Like,
I don't. I don't.
You don't look to see how much you made?
No, I'm saying I don't sit that making me pissed off. That's a waste of energy.
I mean, it doesn't upset me, but I do look at it. I'm like, golly, this is ridiculous. Do I like lose sleep over it? No. But do I look to see like how much my hourly rate was, like how much I would have made, like without anybody touching it? Yeah. It's right there on the check. Like you're gonna see that number.
No, that's not what I mean. I'm talking about like
those
type of things. I elevated from that like when I was 17. Like I don't get mad over stuff that I can't control. I try my best to not let that get to me.
Gotcha.
But what I can control, and I guess that's the core of all this. What I can control, and then even the stuff I fail to control, right? Because we all are guilty of that. I might get mad at that stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe even then I'll get carried away and be like, no, okay, I gotta let this go.
Right.
I gotta move on. But stuff I can't control, I'm not gonna get emotional about. But I will say this though. Now there is some stuff and going back to that, the example you gave.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily fit, but I'm sure somewhere in like the like this topic you presented, somewhere in there's something where someone doesn't feel free about something and they're putting in the work, they're fighting for that.
Yeah.
And I think you have, those are your options are you going to let this get to you or are you going to do something about it? And I think if you decide, if you figure out something and you're like, I think this could change things. If I can get more people on board to do this, to be a part of this movement, whatever it is. And I say movement, but it could be anything. It doesn't have to be like marching or anything, but it could be whatever. But if I can get a bunch of people behind this idea, then that's what I'm going to do because I don't agree with this.
Right.
I think that's a beautiful thing. But like I said, if you can't do that, then, and like I said, in my case, if I can't control it, then I try not to let that kind of stuff get to me.
Gotcha. My whole takeaway from this is quite the opposite of what you just said. If I feel like I'm not free in doing something, I just have to understand that one, it probably wasn't meant for me to do. So I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not the type of person to go up in arms over a lot of things, right? Like stand up for sure. There's only a few things that I will do that for. But I feel like for a long time in this world, it's been a lot of personalities, a lot of personal, I guess I'll use the word personalities, trying to make something of something.
Mm-hmm.
And when we feel slighted, then or we feel like something's been taken away from us, then we have to like stand up and do something about it. And I'm saying the complete opposite is you're not. It wasn't. If something's blockading you, then maybe you should just stop, assess, and take a different direction. You don't have to run through that wall, right? And I know I'm being vague. Like you said, I'm being vague about it.
Well, let me. But before you go any further, I do want to ask you this: do you think, like, because and then you're. In your style, I'm going to be a little vague here because it could mean a couple of different things. But
gotcha.
If we'll just say that you want to protest or something, right? And for whatever reason, people don't like that word these days. But anyways,
right.
Whatever you want to protest, however that is. But let's just keep it. Let's keep it really simple. But would you consider that like I don't agree with the way this is being done. I'm trying to do what I can to, whatever, make a statement, create some change, get people talking about it, whatever. But would you see that as that? Would you say that's just going against the brick wall, just like going nowhere? Or
can I ask you a question? What do you think I'm going to say?
No, I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure.
That's not me. That's not me.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
That's not me. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to do that because I understand that humility is harder to come by and it's a hard thing to do, to be humble and to get spit on in the face and turn the other cheek and allow it to happen again, right? Because that's what the Bible says we're supposed to do, right? That's hard. Mm-hmm. And it's not taught. Nobody's teaching that. Nobody's telling their kids, somebody hits you in school, you walk away from them. Right?
Well, I mean, I heard people tell me that.
I mean, the majority. I mean, when we're having conversations like this, we're talking about the majority. We're talking about the 80%, not the 20. Right? Nobody. So I guess I shouldn't use nobody, but the majority is not doing that. Right? So that's when you have people, right, that feel like they've been slighted. They're going to go through that brick wall, right? And they're going to do it in a way that, well, I've heard that this is the common polite way to do it. So this is what I'm going to do. Well, and me, I'm completely different. And I can't tell somebody you shouldn't do that, but I'm not going to be a part of that. So I'm not going to protest, right? I'm not going to march. I'm not going to be that way. And hey, I might end up dead, But I understand that I'm not a servant of this world. I'm a servant for Christ. So because that, it looks a whole lot different. Mm-hmm. So that's why I bring up this whole thing, freedom. Because I feel like it is in a worldly sense, right? It is a lie to an extent. There's nothing that says that we are completely free. We live by rules that are given to us, and those rules we should follow. Mm-hmm. So if you have rules laid in front of you to follow, mm-hmm. Are you free? Well, you can say that you're free to do whatever, regardless of those rules, but then you're breaking them, right? Mm-hmm. And you're not being true to those rules. Does that make sense?
Well, okay, I'm following you, but I would say, but my only question would be then, so do you want there to be less rules?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying understand your state that you're in. We should understand the state that we're in. And me diving into this question and thinking about this and bringing it up to you to have a conversation about it really kind of made me, I came to the conclusion that I understand the state that I'm in and a lot of people are in. right? But are we living like that? Are we living in the way that we know that we should live and in the state that we're in, which are servants, right?
Mm-hmm.
We should be serving other people, and we're not doing that because we think we're free to do whatever we want.
I don't know if I agree with that, but okay.
I know, man.
I don't know if I entirely agree with that.
I mean, there's so many aspects of this, right? And we've touched on quite a bit, but I mean, when it comes down to it, it's a hard pill to swallow. And I'm going to say this: love your neighbor as yourself. I know I'm throwing a lot of biblical, lines out there.
Oh yeah, I'm quite familiar with the terminology.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
but
I'm familiar with the terminology.
I mean, you think about that, right? And for me, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. This was all internalizing and looking at this and just asking this question. Are we doing that? Am I doing that? And that's what we're supposed to do. So am I free not to do it?
Free not to do what?
Am I free not to love my neighbor?
Who said that? I'm confused.
No, I'm saying in the Bible, God said that one of the there's 2 commandments to sum up all of the commandments. Love thy Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, strength, right? Second one is love thy neighbor as thyself.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I just brought that one up. So I'm saying that's what we're supposed to do. Are we doing that? Am I doing that? Right. And am I free not to do it? I mean, I can make the choice not to do it, but like you said earlier, there are consequences for.
Yeah. Like even if we go for the it's not even spiritual, but it just, like you said, you don't like your neighbor, right? And let's say you don't want to do that. There's not going to be any law that's going to come down on you.
Yeah.
There's not any man-made law.
There's no man-made law that's coming down
on you. But that could have repercussions in different ways.
Yeah.
With the people you're close with, maybe you come to find out that person is actually amazing, and all this time you were wrong.
Yeah.
It could happen in different ways. Not necessarily in some super dramatic fashion where, oh my God, I was so wrong about this person, but it could happen in different ways.
Yeah.
Or you that one moment you say something bad about someone and someone else hears you and they're like, "Oh, that's what he's really like."
Yeah.
That kind of thing could happen. So,
yeah. So it just kind of goes back to the whole know the state that you're in. And I mean, we're called to live by that. So I am anyways. I'm called to live. I mean, understand that I'm a servant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm called to live in that fashion. So I'm not called to be a warrior. Some people like to say that, but I mean, we're really called to serve other people. So that's where this all stemmed from. But good talk. You disagree. Play short and simple. and I do understand your side because it all, and this is what I hear from you, and tell me if I'm wrong. You have a choice.
Morpheus says we always have a choice.
Right? So, and I think that's where you're kind of coming from. Not necessarily
not saying you're going to like every
of the word.
Not saying, that's why I was talking about semantics. Yeah.
Right. But
you do have a
choice.
You
so
may not
in that
like
sense, you are free to do whatever.
And I'm not saying you're going to like every choice. There's a lot of choices I don't like. We talked about this very briefly.
Right.
So we, and like I said, I'm not going to stay on this at all, but just even in terms of, because we briefly talked about it before, like with politics, that is part of being an adult. I don't like my choices. Pick one. That's being an adult. You got to pick one. Even when you don't like, pick one.
I mean, we won't talk about it this time, but I don't pick one.
I know you don't. But hey, so are we going back to that adult
day in my
thing
life?
again?
No, I mean, it's and this is funny that you say this because
Yeah.
I
I make
mean,
choices I don't like all the time. Where I'm like, these are crappy choices.
Yeah.
I don't like this choice. But
so you feel like you have to make that choice.
I don't know if I'd say I have to, but let's just say you should.
Why? We need to have a different.
The people that came before us, which, by the way, I was waiting for you to answer that, and you never answered it.
What? What was that?
When we came up to this conversation last time, I said that the people that suffered and died for us to have the ability to vote.
Yeah.
I said, I feel like I owe them something.
Right.
I owe them, if it's me waiting in line for an hour, I'll do it.
Gotcha.
It could be shorter. We don't really live in a big city, so it could be shorter. It could be sometimes it could be 15 minutes, depending on what's up. What you're voting for, but it could be a short amount of time.
Gotcha. What was the question though that I didn't answer?
Just that, or I don't want to say question, but more like there wasn't an acknowledgement of
I agree.
the people that came before us.
I mean, I agree that I agree with your take of it because there's a lot of people that feel that way. And by no means am I taking that away from you. I just don't feel that way. Mm-hmm. And I don't think, and this is just my personal opinion, that I think that what they were fighting for was more than just a vote.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And to minimalize their sacrifice down to a vote is disrespectful. No, that's my personal opinion. That's my personal.
I would say
I agree with what you're saying. I want you to understand that.
So I don't think anyone is oversimplifying it, but I do think that if you're not doing that, then what are you doing in place of it?
Yeah, good point. But I don't feel like I should. For me, it was never that. I'm only making that statement because that's how I truly feel. But when it comes to voting, bro, you're not going to get me to do it. I don't care what. There's no carrot that could be dangled in front of me to get me to vote. And I don't care who came before me and sacrificed. Thank you. Appreciate it. But there's other people doing it. And for that, because of that, obviously it worked, right? But for me, I'm not drawn. That's not my desire, right? There's other ways, like you said. Well, what are you doing? I can't think of it right off the top of my head, but I can tell you right now that's not one of them. It's not. And this honestly, this conversation could go like for hours, bro. But I mean, I've just never been a fan of it because I feel like it's another play. It's just another play, to be completely honest with you. I can't even like. I can't explain what I mean by that, but that's all I can think of right now. It's just another a form of, I don't want to say control, but it's just another carrot dangled in front of you, something that you have to do, something that you feel like you have to do, and I don't like. I told you I'm not a statistics guy. I don't like being part of statistics. I don't like that bullshit. I do not like it. So for somebody to tell me that I have to do this because somebody died for me, like,
you're like, no, not feeling that.
I don't see that. There's only one person that died for me that I owe my life to. And that's the honest truth. Like, that's how simplified I've had to make it. Mm-hmm. And because of that one choice and that understanding, everything else doesn't even really matter. It doesn't matter to me on the level that it matters to other people. if you understand what I mean. Like I care, like I show gratitude and I appreciate it, right? But it is not as significant as Christ dying on the cross.
I don't think anybody's saying
right.
that.
So, but hold on, let's think about that though, right? Like Christ died on the cross. And there's so many things that we don't do that he's asked us to do. But somebody wants to sit up here and tell me that I have to vote because some man or women or men died for that to happen. It doesn't make sense.
And even we can even say maybe they didn't die. But remember what you were talking about, all that getting spit on and being disrespected.
No. Yes. Yep.
Even those people.
Yep. Yeah, no, you're right.
That's what they did on their downtime.
Yeah. No, you're right.
In order for... And that's just not even leave out the voting part, but I mean, even a lot of laws to be changed,
Yeah.
People protested for the change to happen.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
And like I said, I appreciate those people.
No, I do too. For sure. And I think... Like, I love the different viewpoints of this because both sides are coming out, right? And it's just funny because, like, we're both black men, but we see things just a little differently, right?
Yeah, and I mean, and also, too, I would say, I would even take it this far. I think... I know at least I can't speak for other people, but I could definitely speak for me and you. I think me and you are also just very different from a lot of other people in general. So
this is very true.
So
you've warned them how I am.
So and I mean, and no, that's true for me too. So I don't think I think there's a lot of things I'm not in the norm.
Yeah,
so
for sure. But in a good way. I mean, that makes us who we are. We all have walked a different path and see things differently. And that's what makes us human.
It is.
I mean, but anyways. No, I mean, I just wanted to emphasize that this is all, my viewpoint, and it was really just a discussion for me and you to have, but kind of going back to the whole slavery or prisoner viewpoint, it's like, I do understand that this might not be like a comfortable conversation to talk about in some aspects of it. And this can't be said to everybody. Like, you can't, like I said, you can't tell a prisoner that, freedom is an illusion, right? I couldn't say that.
Yeah.
I'd probably get punched out, and I couldn't go back to some people. I couldn't go to other countries and say, well, don't worry about being free from slavery because it's just an illusion anyway. Like, that's stupid, right? That's dumb. And I know better. Like, I'm mature enough to understand that, but it's just the whole. It's the big picture, not necessarily focusing on the topics that we brought up, but it's the big picture of understanding the state. For me, understanding the state that I'm in, right? And I can look at this in a worldly view, and I look at this in a biblical view, and understanding that, well, in a worldly view, there are these things, right? But there's still rules that we live by. So, there's a mindset of freedom, but it comes with restraints, right? If I'm looking at the dictionary, if I'm looking at the definition of the word, right? But yes, there are also choices. And then I look at this biblical view and I see that, well, we do serve a master that is great. and we are servants. And even though we are free, you're free from something specific, and not necessarily just to live in a vicarious, like, no care way, right? There's still restraints around that, right? That if you're truly following like a king, you know, you're gonna do what he asks you to do. Yeah, you're free to walk, right, within regards. And that's really all I wanted to kind of like narrow down and basically say. Mm-hmm. So, but yet you still disagree. So,
I will add something to that. You know, like I said, I won't stay on this too long, but you know, I did some training, leadership training.
Yeah,
and that was, I mean, it wasn't. There were some parts of it that were a little fascinating. Learning how to talk and communicate with people that are different from you, and how they interpret things.
Yeah.
But there was one part of it when I was talking to the instructor. He was like, going back to, you know, there's the worldly view, and you said there's a biblical view. When I was talking to him, he was like, I don't see this very often, but he's like, you're the same when you're amongst people. You're the same when you're in stress, and you're the same, you know, with family or people you're close with or whatever. He's like, you do not change at all. There's just the authentic version of you.
Yeah.
And I can actually, you know, I totally can see myself in that way. So I like, there's not two versions, you know, to me, it's just who you are is who you are.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, you're not supposed to be two different people. I mean, you should be who you are, regardless of any situation.
And I think sometimes that can probably go against me. You know what I mean? Sometimes you know, it pays to have a little Game of Thrones in you, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I would think I was that way, but I'm not going to brag on myself, so I don't know.
Wait, you think you were what way?
I would think that I was always the same regardless, you know? But, yeah. I don't know. Good stuff, though.
Lordy. We
gotta throw one of these in there every now and then.
But this is, but yeah, no, it's different, but it's not bad.
It is. I don't like this one right here. That watermelon girlfriend, not cool. But I don't know. We'll see about this slushy. We'll see. Got anything else, sir?
I think I am good.
You're all freed out. Freedom.
Did you ever listen to Dead Prez?
Yeah, I think I did listen to them when I was younger.
Let's Get Free.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I guess the second album maybe not as good, but I mean, I always liked them back in the day. Trying to think of when, I don't know if it was 97 or 96 when they came out, but I remember just back at that time, it was kind of, for the time, it was a little militant, a little angry.
Yeah.
I appreciated it. But anyways, you were
vibing it.
I appreciate it. Just and the only reason that made me think of that, because I think that first album was called "Let's Get Free."
Yeah, I'll have to go back and check it out.
And it was a little angsty. It was made with a little bit of anger.
A little bit.
For hip hop back then. You know what I mean?
For sure.
It was,
I can only. Yeah.
But very socio-political.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, we didn't even touch. There's so many things that you could touch on to like talk about when it comes to this, but I think we killed it. So, I mean, I'm nobody, bro.
Oh, Lord.
Just talking to
He's nobody, guys. He's nobody.
You got anything else for us, sir?
No, I'm good.
All right, bro. I love you.
Okay, until next time.
Later.